Friday night here on Critical Mass Radio. Syncretism. And I'm hoping that, I know I've got Santo here. And I'm hoping that's Jordan. I'm not sure who code 818 is. No one gave me a heads up.
That's me.
That's you.
It's
I thought it was. Yeah. Right on. We have Tony. So everyone's on board tonight. So let's have some fun.
Hey, guys.
Howdy, everyone.
Howdy.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been quite a week, eh?
Yeah, Jordan, we must ask, how are you, sir? You haven't been feeling too well, have you?
No, I'm feeling a lot better now, finally.
Good news. Thank you. Good to hear.
Excellent.
So where do you guys want to start? I know Santo's chomping at the bit.
There you go.
I know I am, but for totally different reasons.
Well, I usually start on the bottom and work my way down from there. So.
That works for us, too. Seems to happen most of us. Good. Then we're all on the same page. It's going to be a good round table. All right, so I don't know where you guys want to start. We actually haven't had a chance to discuss the Pope step down with Jordan yet. So that might be a little, it's a bit old news at this point, but still lots of very valuable points to cover that some people may have missed.
Well, I think that it's about time the Pope steps down. I would like to see the whole church, because the church is the biggest and the most famous. The Catholic Church is the most famous criminal organization on the face of the earth. It is the home of the mafia, underworld, syndicates, drug running, prostitution. But over and above that, that's why I think not only should the Pope step down, but they should shut down the whole entire bad, dirty operation. It's been around for way too long. It's a religio-political criminal operation around the world. My mother was Catholic. I was born Catholic. I'm not complaining. I'm not condemning the Catholic people. We're talking about the corporation. We're talking about the Vatican. We're talking about the actual organization itself. I'm not talking about the people. I think it's foolish that you have to even, say something like that to clarify it, because I'm not complaining or condemning the Catholic people. I'm talking about the religion and where it came from. Very, very, very few people know anything about the history of theology and religion. And I'm just amazed when I see millions or billions of people, bowing down on their knees. Like in Islam, you see millions of people on their knees praying to some god, some ancient Semitic god of the moon, or some sun god. And millions and not billions of people bowing down and giving money to and supporting pagan gods from the ancient world. And it just shows me that the human race is, the more we change, the more we stay the same. We're just about as ignorant as we've ever been on the earth. Isaac Asimov, in one of his books, I read an interesting quote that he talked about as far back as the ancient Sumerians. There were cuneiform tablets talking about how corrupt and stupid the people were, and how they were, it was so corrupt, the governments were corrupt, the religions were corrupt, and whoever wrote that, or whoever was writing that cuneiform writing, was talking about the general state of affairs in ancient Sumeria. Was so pathetic, that people were so stupid and the governments were so crooked and corrupt. And I just think to myself, the more we change, the more we stay the same. 6,000 years later, we're still crawling on our knees and bowing down 5 times a day to a moon god, and falling all over ourselves for silly nonsense that has no basis, in fact, whatsoever. And the other thing I would say about the church, Christian church, period, is by their fruits you shall know them. What is the fruitage? that Christianity has given to the world for the past 2,000 years? What is the fruitage that Islam has given to the world since they've been around, Johnny-come-latelys? What is the fruitage of Judaism and its effect on the world? So anybody with with an IQ of more than 50 who is intellectually honest knows that the fruitage of the three great religions of the world and all the rest thrown in is nothing but violence and ignorance and bloodshed and stupidity. And so that's why I have no respect whatsoever for lies and deception. And I love the people. I don't have any problem with the people. It's the religions and where they've come from and who started them and what they really are doing. So that's why I'm always happy to see the Pope step down. As a matter of fact, I think he should be held responsible. Him and all the other popes before him should be responsible for Nazism, for communism, fascism, for all of the drugs and murder and violence going on throughout the world, because all roads lead to Rome. So I'm not very happy with organized religion or organized government, because all of it is organized crime. And it's about time people wake up and start living like an adult instead of believing in these fairy stories of Allah's going to save you and all of this and all of that. And then you can, if you want to follow the worship of Allah, then it gives you certain privileges. You can marry a 5-year-old, or you can kill and murder, and then you can beat women up and cover them completely from head to toe in black gowns so that no one can see them. I mean, it's lunacy what's going on the religious front around the world. And, of course, the political front is even worse. So, my people are dying from a lack of knowledge. As the scripture said, where there is no vision, the people perish. So this is why I've been trying to do what I do, is just trying to awaken people to the fact that you're worshiping the wrong gods. Worship comes from two words, worth, W-O-R-T-H. Worth, or the value of something, worth, what it's worth. Worthship becomes worship. Worthship means something you put a value on, whatever it is that's important to you, and then has the most worth in your life. And so that's where you concern yourself with it, because it has the most value. So worthship becomes worship, which tells me that 90% of the world's population, what is valuable and worth their time and effort is some silly, nonsensical, violent, filthy, dirty religious systems and ignorant, stupidity, political systems. That's what the human race loves. And so I believe that the New Testament story of Jesus is a metaphor. I'm totally convinced of that. It's a metaphor. It's a symbolic story. And in that symbolic story of Jesus, I believe is a very, very powerful and beautiful story based on truth. But it has nothing to do with an actual physical man that lived. It's a metaphor for a symbolic story. And I believe the basis of that symbolic story is astrotheology. But in particular, the story is telling us the war between light and darkness, between the sunlight, 12 hours of sunlight, and 12 hours of darkness. And so I would conclude this little rant with saying that there's a story in the Bible where Pontius Pilate brings Jesus out into the crowd, into the city, and there are two prisoners. Jesus is on the right-hand side, and can't remember the other. What was the other prisoner? Anyway, there was a second prisoner who was unknown murderer,
Barabbas?
liar. Barabbas, of course. And so Pontius Pilate says to the Jews of the city, I can let one prisoner be released today. So here on my left is Barabbas. Everybody knows him. He's a criminal, and everybody knows it. And then on the other side, I have Jesus, who is the light and the truth and the light. So which one do you want? Which one do you want? And the Bible says, with one voice, everyone agreed with one voice and said, give us Barabbas. I think that is a symbolic metaphor, meaning that when the people of a city, when the people of a nation, when the people of the earth are presented with wisdom, knowledge, the truth, and the light, as opposed to criminality, they will always, as they have always, with one voice, cry out, give us Barabbas, meaning the whole world would much rather believe a bunch of bull and lies and deception and politicians and pornographic religions and silly nonsensical crap of crawling on your knees to moon gods and sun gods. Give us Barabbas, which is a symbolic way of explaining to you the war between light and darkness, between intellectual enlightenment and human stupidity. And so that's why that story is so powerful. Give us Barabbas basically means the world would much rather worship and fall down and crawl on their knees to their emperor and to their religions and to the religious leaders, even premeditatedly knowing what they're doing and that they're liars and they're corrupt, but the people love it. And so, what we have become what we beheld, and nothing changes, and that's why nothing is ever going to change until people realize that what we've got going on the earth today, and it's getting worse by the day. I mean, we're beginning to see all these incredible murders and violence popping up all over the earth. It's quite simply because the human race has been misled. And so they've been misled. They have the light and wisdom and knowledge. Spirituality has been taken from the human family, and in the place of it has been given silly-ass religions and corrupt politics and corrupt commerce. And so this is the end result, is that now you have a civilization on the earth, mankind on the earth, is now operating with no morals, no ethics, no scruples, no nothing. Why? Because they know nothing. They don't understand what's going on. They have no knowledge. They have no wisdom. They're not well grounded. So I understand what's going on, but I'm afraid that if the world doesn't wake up, it's going to experience another catastrophe, and I see it coming. So that's what's driven me all of these years, and that's why I appreciate the work of Santos and so many others that are trying to help the people to grow and intellectually awaken to what's really going on the earth and where we're going. So that's my view of the Catholic Church. I think the thing should be done away with a long time ago.
I have to agree wholeheartedly, Jordan, and you made such a wonderful point right at the outset, and there is always confusion between what is an institution and the people that are at the mercy of that institution. And so many times people get all emotional, ego-driven, and what have you, thinking that it's a personal thing. It's not. It's far from it. What you're dealing with here is, people that need to step back from what they thought was going on and take a really, really, cold, hard look at it and start asking the tough questions. But I just wanted to say that because we've run into that so many times. People, it's like, you're right, guys, you got to just kind of take the personalities out of it, and let's just have a look at things from an all grown up perspective of what's going on. There's obviously something wrong, and we need to fix it can we have a look at this now and maybe work, instead of trying to defend a position of being right or we got to do this and that, how about we just get together and talk it out? That's what we do on these shows, and that's why I love this show in particular. But Tonto,
look at one other thing. It's like if you want to talk about the criminality of the mafia, immediately the mob will jump back at you and say, no, there you go again, bad-mouthing the Italian people, finding fault with the Italian people. Nobody said anything about the Italian people. We're talking about the mob. And so that's the same thing the churches will do. You talk about the criminality, why are you picking on the Catholic people? I'm not picking on the Catholic people. My mother was a Catholic people. My family were Catholic people, That's the
same strategy that, Zionism uses with scapegoating the Jews.
Of course.
Well, it's the same tactic, guys. Can we not kind of learn?
No, we don't learn. We don't.
Crazy, eh? Anyway, so Santo.
Yeah.
How are things down under?
Great. Beautiful day today. Real true summer day.
So what's happening, Santos?
Well, I've got a few little gems to share today. I've got some beauties, but I really appreciated your comments. Two things that stood out. It's a mob. It's absolutely a mob. And it's a big mob. They've got agents all over the planet. They've got foot soldiers, well-trained and educated. Oh, I've got PhDs over here on this wall. I've got some over there. And these people are the biggest morons. Because they believe in this mechanical construct. It's commercial, it's perverse, and they believe in it, and therefore they have constituted themselves foot soldiers of this system, this fictional system, and it's a mob, and everyone's been conscripted to it. Some of our young boys go to kill other people in other nations for it. Your council officers and your sheriffs that come knocking on the door with summonses because you've got third-party debt collectors on your back now, and all of this fiction. This is ridiculous. It's a mob. It's the Inquisition. Comes from the Vatican. It always has. It's their money. People look to the IMF and the World Bank and all of these other, agencies of the Vatican, the IRS. It's all the Vatican. How do I know? Because no money is ever circulated unless it comes from the hand and the blessing of the priest. This is why the Federal Reserve Building and the IRS and all of those buildings, they look like temples. Because Juno Moneta, the money in Rome, must be pressed in the temple. If it hasn't got the temple's blessing and the priests, it will not be issued. And this is why it's a religious thing. This is why the judge is he is an ordinary. He is an officer of the Inquisition. And he has powers by the church. He sits on a bench. It's the church. And he's collecting money for the church. The Catholic Church is still going around collecting money. All taxes, everything, every single tax we've ever paid has gone to Rome, to the Vatican, period. And the other thing you mentioned, Jordan, was the stupidity that is abundant. Yeah, the two most common elements in the universe are hydrogen and stupidity. So, we've got to work against that element. But the enemy of stupidity, ignorance, is knowledge. And so that's what this platform is for. And I've got some gems, folks. Last week we spoke about Uranus in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn, and how Aries is the equinoctial axis. We quoted Ptolemy, the great astrologer, who said that the equinoctial axis, in other words, Aries and Libra, the first and the seventh sign, pay attention to those numbers because they are God numbers. God is 1, and his favourite number is 7. in Jewish tradition, they say God loves nothing more than the number 7. It's the most loved thing, and we'll go into that. But anyway, see, this axis is the ecclesiastical religious axis because it has to do with equilibrium, equinox, balance. That's why next month we're going to celebrate the Passover, Lamb, and we're going to be celebrating the Lamb because we will be in Aries. That's where Easter happens, when the sun is east. And so that's why it is so religious and so precious. But Uranus is there now in Aries, squaring with Pluto in Capricorn. Now, both of these, Capricorn is the skeletal system, the bones, the structure, the institutions, the structure. It's the political side. The goat rules the solstitial axis together with Cancer. And that has to do with politics and governments. So we've got the king and the priest here to the cross. This is the cross. The spirit and matter. Aries and Libra is always spirit, equilibrium, spiritual things, religious things, ecclesiastical things. So Uranus is in there, squaring with Pluto. This is what's going on. I'll put it briefly because otherwise, I can elaborate and elaborate like I did last week. But simply, this is what's going on. Uranus in the head, in the cerebrum, Aries, is stirring the high brain, the higher consciousness, in a very individual, revolutionary, out-of-the-box way like before, because it's squaring with Pluto, who is also destructive and transformative in the house of external structure. So, sure, the Vatican has to go, because the planets will decide that, and we are going to watch and participate down below. But so that's what's going on with these two, the axis of spirit and the axis of matter. But Jordan, you mentioned the three big religions. Now, let's notice how our religions are focus around Aries and Libra. I've exposed this in Syncretism, my latest series of presentations. Probably 12 hours there of information about the Abrahamic religion and how it is pure astrology. Now let's have a look at Aries and Libra, shall we? Aries is in the east, facing the east, and Libra is facing the the west, where the sun sets. And this is the construction of this is the way the heavens are figured to be constructed by the Egyptians. In other words, the daily cycle and the yearly cycle both start at right ascension of meridian in Aries, the top of the head of the human being. Everything begins there. So in the year, that would be the 21st of March, equinox. During the day, right ascension is 6 a.m. every day, regardless of whether the sun sets an hour earlier or later or whatever. So 6 a.m. every day is the sun rises with the Lamb. And the sun will always set in the 7th, the sept house. That means 7th. By the way, its lyric is always situated in September. Sept is the 7th, you see. Right? September is, we know it in the Julian calendar as the 9th month, but really in astrology it's the 7th month. And this is important because it's going to build up to something here. And what I'm going to show and prove today is that the Christians look to Aries and the Islamists look to Libra. Because the Islamists face west when they pray, because that's when the sun is setting. And Christians have their churches facing the east for their risen Saviour. And this is why they love Easter, because Easter is when the sun is resurrected in March, April. And that is also in astrology the sign where the sun exalts. Same difference. Resurrection, exaltation, no difference. It's the same thing, different languages. So the symbol of Aries is an M for meridian. That's the symbol, an M. And the phallic Mars is the glyph, the sign, the ruler, Mars, the phallic sun rising in the morning. And so that M is the cross, where the Son is crucified at Easter. And that's the cross that Christians look to in the East. In the West, when you look to the West, at 6 p.m., you see the sun setting, and when it goes below the horizon, it's considered to be in the scales of Libra. That's the other tree, the other crucifixion. Now, when you look at all of the names and symbols and glyphs of Libra, you begin to see that is where the Islamist religion is based. For instance, Ramadan. See, we have Easter in Aries. They have Ramadan in Libra. Just when the Jews also have their Rosh Hashanah. Rosh, Rama, same thing. Both mean head. Ram, cerebram, Aries, the head. So there's two heads. And the Jews have both the Lamb and Libra, because the Jews start their sacred year at the equinox around the lunar equinox of Aries, and they start their secular year at the equinox of Libra. So the Jews do both, the Christians do Aries, and the Islamists do Libra. Now, what do we find in Libra? Well, we find that the planet Saturn exalts there, whereas the Sun exalts in Aries, the Christ, Jesus, the risen Saviour. But the Sun is in detriment in Libra. So Saturn exalts. Saturn is Set. You see, this is the war of Jesus and Satan. Sun and Saturn. Horus and Set. And also there is another orb there, Venus. She's the ruler of Libra. Venus is the crescent that they have on their green flag, because green is the colour of Venus. They are a Venetian, a pure Venetian cult. And Saturnian, because that's why they go anti-clockwise around the Kaaba at Mecca. They go around the Kaaba for their god, Allah. And when you join those words, you get Kabbalah. Kabbalah. See, Kaaba is in reference to both Venus and Saturn, because they are the rulers and the exalters of Libra. Now, when you get the word Libra, they call their Allah, their prophet, one of the greatest prophets, Abraham, they call that one Ibrahim. And they will usually say Ibrahim. So you get the word Libra and put H-I-M on the end of it, and you have the word for their prophet. Also, it is the seventh sign, Libra, which Saturn is the Sabbath planet, the seventh day of the week. Saturn is in fact the seventh day of the week. Sunday is the first. Sunday is always considered to be the first. And Saturn is the seventh. It's Set. And, of course, the other thing is that September is the seventh month, which happens there. So you can see why they are facing the West, because they are both fixed on this axis of the equinox. There you go.
Yep. Well, I'm just amazed at how much is out there to be known, and yet today in a world filled with technology that we can understand and read and study and listen to, people are more ignorant today than they've ever been. And it shows that it's not because there is no knowledge. It's because there are none so blind as those who choose not to see. So people are in the position where they are today as slaves around the world, ignorant, ill-informed, unread, and they have no power to really do anything, and they know that they don't. People in all nations know that they have no power to do anything. And the reason why is because knowledge is power. And if America were fully intelligent, wise, and well-read people, we would never allow the kind of stuff that goes on in America today. Intelligent people would never allow that. But since the overwhelming majority of Americans collectively have got an IQ of about 40, you can do anything in America. You can dance around on the stage and spit on people and call yourself Christians, and they will send you millions and millions of dollars. So it's extraordinarily disheartening to see what the human family has been relegated to and been brought down to.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid, I've said this before, I'm afraid that it does not bode well for the whole human experiment on the earth, the whole entire human race. It's frightening because it's a big movement with 7 billion people. And when you get 7 billion people, and virtually all of them believing in their gods and their religions and their political parties, you've got one massive earth filled with chaos and lies and deception. And from all of that, obviously, comes wars and violence and hatreds. And it's just amazing to me how far gone the whole human race really is. And I said the last time, I think we were talking, that when Jesus says to his followers to pray that God's kingdom would come on the earth and his will would be done in heaven. And then also the Bible talks about how the kingdom of God is in you. And so it's not some political monstrosity, because that's all we've ever had is political monstrosities and evil, corrupt governments. But the kingdom of God is in you, is what the Scripture says. Well, the kingdom, as I've said before, what life on the earth is divided into a kingdom if it isn't animals? We don't put humans in kingdoms, and plants in kingdoms, and fish are in schools, and so what is it that we put into a kingdom? It's the animals. Well, it's the animal kingdom. So therefore, the kingdom of God are the animals. Well, animals are in a zoo. That's where we get the word from zoo. We get the zodiac. So the kingdom of God is the zodiac, the kingdom of the animals. And so symbolically, Jesus is saying to the world, the truth and the light. Jesus said, I am the truth and the light. Well, the truth and the light is saying to the world symbolically that the kingdom of animals, the zoology or the zodiac, is in you. All of the 12 signs of the zodiac and all of the other different implications of the planets and the stars are in you. And so there's the 12 signs of the zodiac, but then there's 12 parts to your life, and so the whole idea of the ancient wisdom was that astrology and the astrotheology, the heavens dominate you. So the kingdom of God is in you. And so, but people have been told to stay away from astrology, stay away from this whole idea. And yet, there's at least 20 reference books I have written by church leaders talking about God's word in the stars. Very famous authors have written about the different astrological symbols in the Bible and how this all is connected to the study of the astrological signs. And this, but Christians, generally speaking, are totally unaware that these books exist, and they don't bring them up in conversation, in polite conversation, because nobody wants to talk about that. So I am totally convinced for myself that the New Testament is, as I said, a metaphor for an astrological story that's now been proven, overwhelmingly proven in your face, by listening to the Hours of Santos to start with. It's all there. It's all very well documented history. So that's why I just continue to do what I do, hoping to awaken somebody, awaken young people, because it's very obvious people are becoming more and more frustrated and angry and perplexed because they are totally ignorant and have been kept ignorant by the church. And again, that's another good reason to get rid of that institution, the whole church, religion, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. All three are equally as bad, and all three are equally as corrupt, and all three are truly equally ignorant of their beginnings and where they've come from. So it's a big story, religion, and what it's done to the world of mankind.
Totally. It's mass mind control, basically, and that's what's always been said. But we are getting to a point now where people are beginning to listen to it and hear the message. That I truly do believe, because the type of people that we come into contact with today, they're all a lot of them are sort of like, oh, I get it. As soon as you explain it to people on a bit of a detailed level, they're starting to go and just realise that is the case. We've all been mass mind controlled. We all know the means, the TV, the media, the religions, the lot, vaccinations and all the rest of it. But it's a huge, huge, huge mind control program that we're all beginning to yawn and wake up from. So I do think, I don't think, I know, the work that you've been doing, Jordan, and Santos and Kate and everybody, the work that everybody out there has been doing is paramount to getting that message across. So I do believe it's finally sinking in. So, we just got to keep up the good push, guys.
Well, I'm telling you, there's a lot of information out there about the corruption and the way that laws are written and the ways that religious institutions operate. There's an awful lot of knowledge out there, wisdom and understanding with the technology that exists today. But so people, I've said this before. I don't think there's going to be any time I don't think there's ever going to be what we would call innocent bystanders or innocent people. I don't think there's anything innocent. I think if you are ignorant, ill-informed, you are that way because you choose to be. And so I don't see there any innocent people being hurt. Innocent is a child. Children are depending on adults to teach them and to help them. And this is why the world is filled with billions of people filled with hatreds and ignorance and stupidity, is because the parents of the children don't know anything to teach their children. And the grandparents didn't know anything to teach their parents. So, it's a vicious cycle. Ignorance gives birth to children. They can't teach them anything because they don't know anything. Well, those children grow up the best way they can. And then they have offspring, and their offspring grow up even less prepared, and it just gets now to where children are being born today, unless they're coming into families who are highly intelligent and well-grounded, but the great masses are just being born and coming into life. They're here because they're here. They have no idea where they've come from, where they're going, or how the world works, or how anything works, and so they have no power. And the people in power are the real desperate criminals. The people in power know what's going on, and it serves them better to make sure everybody in town stays stupid and crawls on their knees and frightened to death when they see you with your badge and your important position in the town. And so it's just it's all gang wars, it's all politics, commerce, the usury of the people. It's extraordinarily bad stuff. And so I've said the other thing I've said that I really feel, trying to change this world and wake people up is like trying to empty the Pacific with a cup. I mean, there's a tsunami of stupidity all over the world. We're doing the best we can.
No, I completely agree with you, but I mean, we do have to remember that mind control program that we're talking about includes religions, and religions go back thousands of years, if not even longer. Some examples could demonstrate. Sumerian texts, for example, I mean, we're going back thousands of years, but who knows, it might have been even longer than that. None of us can really say, I don't think. But it's mass mind control. I do think we're coming out of it, and I think the planets and the movements of the stars have a lot to do with it. Together with possibly other factors emanating from the centre of the galaxy and all sorts of other things. But yeah, thanks for listening to my opinion, Jordan. Like yours, it's highly valued. But the point of the matter is, we are coming to a point of clarity now. So let's hope we can just get there a little bit quicker by helping people wake up that bit sooner.
Yeah, I would ask Santos, what do you see for the near future, astrologically speaking, in relation to the horrors going on Earth? What do you think is going to ultimately begin to happen astrologically?
Okay. Well, Pisces, the thick iron age of Pisces is the last part of Kali Yuga. It's the worst part of the cycle. Aquarius brings with it brings an uplift with it. Spirit. You go from the element of water of Pisces up to spirit. Now, the negative influence of a cycle is there's always residual. It's like you've got a flu, it peaks out, but for 3 days you still got the residual effect, you see. Now, we have passed the peak of the evil. We've passed it. How do I know that? Well, for the listeners that are really keen to do their homework, read the book, The Light of Egypt, Volume 1, by Thomas H. Burgoyne, the founder of the Hermetic Brothers of Luxor. Now, Luxor is one of the temples on the Nile, just 2.5 miles from Karnak, the biggest temple on the planet, both devoted to this beautiful holy science. And this is the stuff that I'm sharing. My stuff is based on Thomas H. Burgoyne's material in that book. And it comes from Luxor. This is astrotheology from Luxor. And so what does he say there? He says that there is a dark satellite, the 7th chakra of the Earth, which is at perihelion for 2,000 years in the Iron Age. And that was all of Pisces. And he said that Plato and all of the great philosophers of antiquity spoke about this satellite and said that in the golden and silver ages it would not be felt, but in the copper age and the iron age the satellite would be felt. And it is the animal chakra. It is where the earth generates and keeps the animal part of her evolving organism. We are the human part. But see, what's been happening is that has been at perihelion, which means it has been at its center, closest to all the other orbs. But Burgoyne explained that in 1881, the dark satellite would recede and go to apohelion, which is the other extremity, away from us. So this animal rage that has been killing us and shedding blood, he also explains, it's only a short chapter in that book. It's about 10 pages. But you'll receive a download of information which will help you to understand the nature of evil. It comes from that animal lower nature. It is unevolved good. That's all it is. And those animals influence us directly through the dark brotherhood, which is the Vatican. Now, he didn't say it was the Vatican, like Helena Blavatsky said. She was far more sincere. Well, I'm not saying that Burgoyne was not sincere, but this is what he said. He said, throughout the whole sphere are numerous races of spiritual beings, many of them possessing the highest forms of cunning and intelligence possible to the animal plane. It is these beings who are neither elemental nor elementaries, who are the producers of the greatest portion of the suffering and misery which afflicts humanity. They are the active agents of that potent fraternity within the spiritual world, which has its external expression and correspondence in the brotherhood known upon earth as the Black Magi. That's the Vatican, guys. That's the Cardinal. Make no mistake. There's no darker entity in the universe than those dudes on that Mars Hill in the Vatican. And the Cardinals. They are the greatest dark sorcerers in the universe. They come from a bloodline. Believe you me, they're just not ordinary guys. These Cardinals, they're bloodline. And they're bloodline of black magic families. You know, they're all interconnected. And they get their positions because they've got to have the right blood. And because they have incarnated into these families and they've held the power for many, many years with their money. The priest. This is the dark magi on earth who have been governed by the dark satellite. Then he goes on to say these two fraternities, vis-a-vis the spiritual rulers and potentialities of the dark satellite upon the astral plane, and the schools of black magic upon the physical plane, constitute the two halves of the planet's evil desire. Now that has to go bye-byes in Aquarius. Uranus and Saturn are the rulers. Jupiter was a tyrant and greedy, and his consort was Juno, who was making a lot of moneta for the Piscean age, because Jupiter rules Pisces, and Juno is the temple where they make the money. And so it was the time of fictional money. Neptune also rules Pisces. Deceit, treachery, is the negative virtues, vices of Neptune. Religion, sorcery, backstabbing, all of those Piscean Neptunian themes, they're all over. So now there is a new paradigm, whether we embrace it or not. Obviously, many are not ready to embrace it, and the universe will lovingly and harshly also at the same time take care of them. But they will be taken to another place where they will need to continue to evolve. And if we cut the grade, hopefully I do, that's all I live for, to cut the grade to ascend, I'm happy to ascend in my higher dimensional being that I am. I'm always headed toward source and toward cause, not interested in the effects. You know, I'm a guitarist, I'm a musician, I play tunes which to me are just effects. Very catchy effects. You know, when I go street performing, I start strumming, crowd comes along because it's an effect. They hear it, it's sweet, it sounds nice, it's rhythmic, but it's just an effect. You know, it's time you got to put the guitar down and return to the silence. And I'm just interested in the silence. I'm just interested in the cause. I'm not interested in, you know, what my senses tell me, like all these scientists. Oh, the sun is a nuclear fusion hydrogen helium thing, and it's weighs and it's solid and it's got It's got hydrogen at the core, and it's turning it into helium, and it's compressing at a gazillion tons a second. Wonder how it does that. They've got all these astronomical figures that they've come up with their sensors, not from their knowing. They've got no knowing at all, as Walter Russell said. They're just pure, deluded buffoons, educated ones at that.
Yeah, and the sciences are wrong.
All wrong. All of it is.
Yes, I've said that religion, or spirituality better, should be a science, while unfortunately science today is a religion. It's backwards. Religion should be a science, but science today is a religion. Science today is a church. It's a religion. It depends on which denomination you happen by chance to have graduated from, and you have your holy writings and your saints, and as long as you go along to get along and continue to promote those saints and swear by those saints that they have the whole truth and nothing but the truth, then you will get your paycheck from the university, and they will get their money from the government. And so it's just a continual perpetuation of the religion. We call it science, but there is very little science in scientists today. Paul de Villette is, in my opinion, one of the real scientists alive on the earth today. An extraordinarily brilliant man, talking about the stars and the astronomical, and he's a physicist, but he's also an astronomer. And Dr. Paul de Villette talks about the profound implications of the 12 signs of the zodiac on the human psyche, on the human mind, and also talks about the quasars, which I thought was really interesting. He was talking about the quasars of these far distant, far away energies that we're picking up, and we call them quasars. They're beeping. They're like a signals beeping, and so he says. So science today says that these are quasars, stars or something that's out there beeping. And he said, actually, in point of fact, what they are is intelligent communications. Science knows that it's intelligently. Each one of those quasars are sending a different message. If all quasars were the same, they would all vibrate at the same. But they don't. Quasars, some of them stop their communication for a while, then they will start and have a well-defined message that they're beeping out like a Morse code. So anyway, it's just interesting when you see that science is actually a religion, and religion, as I said, should be a science. Spirituality should be something you can. Well, this is what Santos is doing, is making spirituality and religion into a science, understanding what the symbols mean, what the word means, where it comes from, and scientifically break down the spiritual implications of life on the earth for humans. Should be a science, but science itself is a religion, and religion itself is a monstrosity of lies. So it's created by government. So thank God we've got a handful of people who are very knowledgeable and trying to awaken the rest of the world. So I just want to be a part of that best I can.
Oh yeah, and you're doing great. We do have a caller, guys. So I'm going to bring William into the call here, and for some questions and comments. William.
Hi. First question is, how do you make 10 kids disappear?
Create a religion.
Yeah. Loan them to the Queen.
Yes. Well, they're already there, so that's a done deal.
Well, yeah, that was a whole program in itself, honestly, and that as you all know, that goes way back 60s.
1964.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things is that the sun is actually a gravity generator, a fusion reactor, and an inductive device in itself. I mean, the gravity attenuates to the Earth. The Earth also has a gravity generator in the center. We really don't have a north and south pole. We have the top and bottom of a gravity generator. Everything is a wave in matter. All matter is a wave. In reflection of chemtrails or the geoengineering and religion, our thoughts propagate on a gravity wave. As the Lord said, your thoughts are instant. I hear you instantly, because our thoughts, as a gravity wave propagates instantly from here to a million light years away, it more or less gets there instantly. It's like 10 to the 8th in its propagation. Chemtrails go on the very same principle as a wave guide, or as a wave function. You have in elements, or for doing chemtrails, you have two odd numbered elements, one even. You have an oscillator rotor. You have element 13, aluminum, element manganese, element 25, two odds, and element 56, barium. That serves as a rotor oscillator. A lot of these things are now transitioning into people's lives, and a lot of these little secret societies have been based on little secret technologies, and as the prime mover as to what they do and their behavior. And there's a lot of things, Ezekiel's wheel and stuff, basically a John Cyril SEG. And all those functions all translate to very basic reflection of physics. The skywriting, it's said like an alien language. It's a written physics that in the sky you can tell what they're doing on wave. When they do a chemtrail, when they want to mentally drug say people at the Rose Bowl, they'll do it 7 kilometers away. They'll do the chemtrail, and if they goof up, they'll exit out. If you understand. Just as when we were teleporting, for the DoD and for the Navy, everything is a wave. All matter is a wave. Your computer, the table in front of you, all matter, all atoms are an over unity device. Is an over inherently is all a wave, and it's just converted more into a wave for teleporting. And all these offshoots of religions and stuff, all really compile from where did the biblical 666 come from? Basically the Bible is a discussion between three entities or three people, basically, right? Three people are basically having a discussion. One kind of defuncts out and focuses more on the body in a very vain way. You know what I mean? And 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to 36 equals 666. 6 times 6 times 6 divided by 2 equals 108. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216 divided by 2, 108, plus 3, half of 6, like 3 electrons, 111. It's a traversing of distance law. You need 7 points of travel. You know where you're at or where you're going. You really only need 6 points. It's a traversing of distance law. Somebody fancied round vehicles during the biblical days and tried to demonize it, tried to hide technology to dumb people down, blah, blah, blah. Church takes over, blah, 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 blah. Specialize, enslave people, blah, blah, blah. Whole thing. I mean, the technology's there. People need to develop and go forward and just live and build and be happy.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Could I ask your name again, caller?
William Stillings.
William Stillings.
Yeah.
Okay.
disclosure movement for we're teleporting all over the outside the U.S., all over the Earth back in the 80s for the Mars colonization program.
Yeah, that's right. So I've looked at some of your info together with Alfred Weber and Brett Stillings, etc.
Yeah, I'm Brett. Andrew Machago. Yeah, Laura Eisenhower.
Yeah, we've had Alfred on and Laura on. Waiting to hear from Andrew. That would be great. And actually, I didn't actually realize who you were there. So thanks for clearing that up for me.
Yeah, it was the science that did it. I'm thinking. I was talking about.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a giveaway there. So yeah. No, it's beautiful. Looks like we're gonna have one hell of a talk tonight. Excellent.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's. I also wrote about Fukushima 4 years before it happened on a TT trip I did. I was forwarded 4 years, forward future from 2007 to 2011. And I didn't witness the Fukushima thing. I read about it in the paper when I did a forward trip, and I was basically getting answers as to why the hell I was going through what I was going through. And so I titled it Japan Earthquake 2011, and that's all documented. Andrew read it in 2010. Everybody and their brother read it in 2008. A lot of people asked me about what that was, and I just said, it was kind of a dream. And they go, are you sure? I go, well, it's more, but you just, I was trying to give people a little heads up and disclose, give them a little insight and a little warning as to what was going on. And, there's just a lot of things that were done. We saw that in Reflection of the World Trade Center. We saw that, there's just a lot of physics that people wouldn't comprehend, wouldn't ever understand, that neutrons were teleported into the reactors. The first one that was running blew up. The ones that were off and only had the rods in the bottom of the reactor for storage blew up. And it was basically, governments also flamboyant heads up that during the 2012 period, things become unpredictable, which is why they want to shut down the reactors all over the world, because reactors will become unpredictable during this period of time. Yeah. And so, I mean, I didn't cause Fukushima much. And there's just a lot of aspects to the physics that people are just now catching on with. Mm-hmm. And same thing applies to the secondary negative crossover section that was actually teleported in for World Trade Center. And the first primary or longitudinal wave that was sent down the middle of the World Trade Center, that actually, when it hits different elements or different alloys, it'll bounce it or reflect it. If it hits an oscillator rotor, it'll kind of scatter, and that scattering is what actually did the cars in the parking lot, which kind of gives you indication of which direction the negative crossover section came in from.
Yes, it did. Have you spoken to Judy Wood about some of that?
Yes, actually I have. I've been in contact with Judy Wood, and we talked for a good couple hours, quite a few hours, and it was just one technological vomiting session of just the real physics. Basically a John Hutchison effect with a little bit more funding behind it.
Just a bit.
Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. How many agencies and departments were involved in three different countries. Just to give people a heads up, actually, when we were teleporting to Mars for the Mars colonization program, which the jump room structures are at 135 degrees, 90-10 miles from Viking 2 lander, on a plateau, and you can see it on Google Maps. You see the two rectangular structures. Those were, I lost my thought. Well, anyways, I lost where I was at.
sacred geometry alignments of where the teleportations were taking place, I believe.
Yeah. We had jump room structures that were facilitated in building by our Apollo astronauts and everything. Oh yeah, Mars is actually the 51st state of the United States through the Mars colonization program, and this will be laundered socially, as Israel is a state and Israel is part of the United States. Israel, hence being one of the states of the United States, incorporated basically. And socially, that was being laundered, or is laundered, and kind of disclosed. I get in so much trouble for doing this.
Go for it, please.
Cocaine and light bulbs. People ask how do we pay for all this? It was done through cocaine and light bulbs and John Lear. Basically, we got kicked. CIA got kicked out of the United States back in the 80s and consigned up to Australia, international operations and stuff. So basically, cocaine and drugs have been teleported, which is why the opium is so important over in Afghanistan. That gets teleported into the United States, which is why they can never find any shipments. Ever thought to teleport it?
Yeah.
And a year and a half ago, I was talking about this in the air. Do you know how many helicopters I got every time I did a call? It kind of translated from every time I would talk about it with Andrew Bishago on the phone, I would get a helicopter about 10 minutes prior to discussing it on TT Intel. Now it's toned down to where they know what I'm doing, they understand it, it's beneficial, they have no choice but to come forward. NASA has no choice to come forward. NASA has been lying to the American people for 40 plus years.
Absolutely.
They used to take tax dollars. They now became a military military entity in charge of your safety. So they can't be sued for lying to the people. They state the planet Mars being 8 millibar out of 1,000 millibar, and to give an idea to the people out there, 1,000 millibar metric equals 1 bar equals 1 Earth atmosphere is the equivalent of 14.7 psi. They are stating and have stated and maintained for over 40 years that Mars is 8 millibar out of 1,000 millibar, a near perfect vacuum if there was such a thing. So much so a vacuum is what they're stating is that you could literally plate aluminum onto plastic without cryogenics. So much so.
You'd also need a parachute, something like the size of
United States.
San Diego or something?
Yeah, exactly. An 8 millibar, not even for multi-trillion-dollar NASA does atmosphere get thicker higher up in altitude. So let's just say 50,000 feet for giggles. That Mars's atmosphere was 5 millibar. Parachute the size of the United States wouldn't slow down a half-ton or ton lander, and wouldn't do so over the course of 3 days. It's ludicrous, and people just don't even think about it. And now they find water in 8 millibar. Fantastic. Way to go, NASA. Way to go. Should have listened to my father and myself back a long time ago.
You missed your calling. You should be on stage as a comedian. You're doing such a beautiful sarcasm job. I love it. Getting the point home. Oh, this is awesome.
I haven't even talked about Rosie O'Donnell yet.
Oh, go for it.
No, that's a joke. Hillary Clinton's always she loves me. Do you know she hung up on me?
Awesome.
As soon as I got to, what was the topic? As soon as I got to dead bodies, it was click.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Hey, Santo, Jordan, you guys want to chime in here? Let's make this a full round table here.
We take on physics questions, anything really. Go at it.
We're bringing it all to the table. We got it all here tonight.
Astrological questions about the sun, I reckon, Santos. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I was, listening into those numbers. I noticed that 108 stood out. I did some numbers last week. In fact, one of the listeners asked me to elaborate. You might remember, Kate and Tony, we spoke about the great timekeepers.
Yeah, I heard 108 and 216, which translated to 1008 and 2016 for me.
Exactly. What we...
Sorry, 111 popes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we're on the same page here. I'm just howling tonight. This is freaking awesome.
Well, it's all locked into precession. That's why every number is gonna be a fractal or a harmonic of precession, and 108 certainly is, and 72 and 144. But the 108 and 216 is very interesting because all the big boys in the solar system, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, those 5 outer planets, the great biblical timekeepers, they all have 1,000-year and 2,000-year cycles. They all sync into each other, but it's not a perfect 1,000. It's always 1,008 years or 2,016 years. Now, from 4 BCE to 2012 is exactly 2016 years. And that's when the Julian calendar, that's when the Julian dynasty and everything really started the JC Corporation in full force with the adoration of Caesar Augustus. Nice. And they knew... Sorry?
Nice. That is beautiful. I'm loving that.
Yeah. So, but the figures I wanted for, I'm doing this for David. David was the listener that got a bit confused with last week's figures. Folks, if you got a pen and paper, this will be a really, really handy thing for you. You might want to just put in a column to the left, Pluto at the top, underneath that Neptune, then Uranus, then Saturn, and then Jupiter. And these are their orbital numbers. Pluto is 248 years, so you might want to write that down. Neptune is 168 years. Uranus is 84 years. Saturn's orbit is 30 years. And Jupiter's is 12 years. Now, just leave Pluto aside for now, but just do the other 4. Starting with Neptune, you multiply 168 by 6, you come to 1,008 years. So Neptune does exactly 6 orbits, arrives at 1,008 years. And and by the same logic, if he does 12 orbits, he's done 2,016 years. So Neptune has done 12 perfect orbits since...
That's right.
Since, let's say, the historical Jesus, which is taught to us, because we've been told that refers to Jesus because he's the Lord. Well, no, it refers to JC, Julian calendar, Julius Caesar, which is exactly the same meaning as Jesus Christ. It's the corporation that's sodomized us for 2,000 years, the Roman Empire.
and the alphanumeric conversion of Jesus and Christmas, Jesus of Nazareth, is 888. Can I translate and add on to what you just said? Let me sum it up for people. All right. Excellent point. And reflecting the universe multiverse is a base 10 your metric, and it is metric. It is base 10, and and all the reflections of a 12-phase motor or a three-dimensional sine wave through the Earth. If you coil a sine wave and you rotate the planets, and you do helicoil or helix coil, it will translate. You get a three-dimensional or 5 points on the sine wave, just as we have 5 points or hot spots on the Earth. We have Bermuda Triangle, a couple points in Russia, off the coast of Japan, and near California. And we have, you just do a three-dimensional sine wave. Whenever you do a three-dimensional sine wave and compress it, you compress it to a field type of thing. And it gets into those physics. But whenever you have a 12-phase motor or gravity generator or functioning motor, as the galaxy is, and which is why the galaxy, the center of our supermassive black hole, which functions differently because it is a functional living gravity generator and is in the shape of a saucer because it is conducive shape for a saucer, which is why saucers are that shape. Which is, just as in reflection that the planets revolve around the sun, as does the electrons around the proton. Gravity is inherent in all matter and has a propensity to extend past the electron shell or to the electron shell. Gravity will inherently go towards the half spin or the towards the bendable translation or to the electron, and extends out to the electron shell. Just as in the center of the Earth, as the Earth is hollow, as the oceans could not rise and let you lose surface area, you can't compress solid rocks, so the Earth expands strength because it is a gravity generator, self-supporting, and attenuated to the sun, that attenuates kind of a gravity and self-supporting. It has an iron crystalline sun, which goes out during the 2008 to 2016, which is why everybody ditched out of hollow Earth. And which is why in physics, which is why with HAARP and with anything else where you have portable chemtrails like aircraft, which is why you need 18 HAARPs to do all effects. Just as you would have to have like 18 very, very, very large vehicles around the sun to control the sun. Couldn't really be that close to the campfire without a few sparks coming off. You need 18 HAARPs to do all effects. You only need one HAARP to spin the Earth faster, which is why in reflection of North and South Pole, which we term North and South Pole, which is really the top and bottom of the gravity generator, which is why you would put, in reflection of physics, you would put a hexagon at the top of the North Pole in reflection of a gravity, a two-dimensional display. And which is why HAARP just happens in Alaska, happens to land on that one angle on that hexagon, which is why the Russian HAARP just happens to land on the next hexagon over. And really, in actuality, what you really want to do is you want to be a little offset from that angle. You don't want to be spot on, but that's where they put it. Good old 1970s, 1960s beginnings. And exactly, and everything translates to that functioning motor, and translates in the motions of the planet. The planets, which is why we would have to have 12 planets in our solar system, because you can never have less than 12 in a gravity generator. You always have to have minimal 12, 20, 32 in reflection of protons. There's a geometrically stable element, which would say be bismuth, antimony, element 51, bismuth, element 83. You'd have 2, 6, 12, 8, 22, 32, 1. Proton energy position levels, and that totals 83. You add 32 to that, 32 protons and 32 wooden owls or masons, or 33, whatever, but 32. And add 32 to that, and you have Bob Lazar's element 115. You add 32, you have 147. 140 element 147 is actually a geometrically stable element that levitates in the presence of the gravity generator, because it is slapped on the front end of most submarines back in the day, which is why you could have submerged hulls doing 200 plus miles an hour. But I'm bummed. Sorry, I'm a funny guy.
Yeah, but I'm bummed. Yeah, you can drop as many rabbits out of that hat as you want tonight, Brett. Please.
They perforated and so did the kids.
Yeah, we actually prefer it that way. It's why we have shows like Outside the Box, Syncretism, and Cosmic Blueprints, and Leaving the Farm, no less. So we're kind of covering all the out there doorways. Let's put it that way. So please feel free. Everyone. This is wow. This is awesome.
Yeah, I just want to give people the realistic thinking of how the multiverse, universe, whatever is, and what other people like agencies and departments and governmental agencies have been doing when they worry about $5 a gallon. And that is most important. And we're at that point where people need to be able to factor these in to that equation and what really is the prime mover in their life that they don't know. And really need to wake up. I mean, wake people in the Pacific with a cup of water with a hole in it while the government's taxing the shit out of you. Oh, sorry.
Exactly. No, you're perfectly right.
And don't worry about saying shit on this show. You haven't heard me go off on a Katie rant, so don't worry about it.
Oh, nice.
Oh no. We've done the disclaimer. This is no advertising radio here. This is pure. We have no vested interest. We cannot be bought. Only truth gets out.
Then I could say showing George Bush my penis in front of a large wooden owl statue in the middle, right across from a parking lot back in 1997.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It was funny. He loved it. That was funny. Yeah, it was. God, oh my God, I was so thirsty. One thing that people don't know is when you teleport, you get extremely thirsty. Is that the hydrogen is drawn out of your body and given to returned to a time domain, and it's a free energy device type thing. Same thing like any iron loss device, but the same thing inductively happens with electrons. That when you teleport, and I remember when I teleported, literally I teleported in. It was basically Bohemia Grove, and there's some variables to this that go to the tune of about 10 years difference, and I'll just leave it at that. But basically, I had to get naked and ran out and did a dance in front of him. And he just laughed, kept walking. Everybody was just starting to show up at the thing, and I got to stay a while, but it was brutal. But one of the things about teleporting was just brutal. I mean, doing 16-minute trip. The 16-minute trip to Mars was when you got there, you wanted to do so many things, like go explore, look around, and just questions. And when you got there, you had to really force yourself not to be thirsty and not to want to go back for some water, because you could only teleport. You could teleport only once a day. That was that was the rules. I forget it. I got to slow down. Go ahead and talk.
Okay.
So I'm just I'm starting to get upset and shit and stuff. So.
All right. Well, hang 10. We'll get Jordan and Santo and Tony jumping in here and hang out. And it's beautiful synchronicity meshing. I'm loving this.
Yeah, I get kind of goofy and out there and out of control, but yeah, it's there's a lot of FEMA camps waiting around.
Yeah,
and,
there's no doubt. Yep.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that.
I was going to say, one of the people in the chat just said, you're in a good place, Brett, and you are. So make yourself at home and join the Freaks Club, because I tell you, it's going to be the misfits that have changed this planet, because we're the only ones that have the audacity and the imagination to do it. So
yeah,
that's how worlds change.
Yeah,
the crazies do it. So I'm glad to be part of that crew.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good movements. Andrew Bashago's disclosure and movement to get teleportation into the into society, and people teleporting around is the first main way of doing it. Just people can start to understand why the airlines have been deliberately collapsed and failing. The primary mode of operation or transportation for the world aircraft, vehicles depending on air to fly. I mean, that's scary, dude, and it is scary. I mean, an air-reliant vehicle, and so a lot of the airlines have been phased out, and this is actually a very good thing. That teleportation becomes the primary way of travel.
Well, I mean, we say primary, but it doesn't actually need to be the primary. There's the underground tubes, there's anti-gravity, there's lots of different systems. We don't all have to jump straight in a Starfleet teleport the first time, do we?
Oh, right. It's available, or should at least be made available, exactly. There's underground transport systems. I was taken from JPL to, you just take a straight line from Catalina Island, and it goes straight through El Segundo CIA, and it goes straight up through Baxter Bioscience, 71 kilograms of bird flu. You figure that one out. And it goes right, goes about a mile and a quarter from the Brand Library in Glendale, and integrates into JPL. And, and then it goes right up to Edwards Air Force Base, right underneath Lockheed Skunk Works in Palmdale, and then goes up to Edwards, and from Edwards you go to Irwin Air Force Base, and from Irwin you can go up to Shasta, or you can go up to Papoose, or to Pahrump. And we don't term it as anti-gravity. There's no such thing as anti-gravity. That's the mislabeled word thing. There's actually inverse gravity, or gravity generator.
Electrogravitics, basically.
Yeah. I mean, gravity as inherent in all matter. Gravity A, gravity B. Gravity, is a millimeter wave, and has the tendency to extend to the electron shell. When you oscillate that so many times a second, you get a gravity. When you extend it past the electron shell, you would say, gravity is not a frequency, but it has a low carrier wave of 7.4 hertz. Is a millimeter wave, 1.06. And when we were teleporting, one of those very basic properties was that the lighting had to be inductively shielded. Just like having a microwave screen. The little screen mesh with the circles in it. It was a millimeter wave, and you had to shield it. And one thing I like to promo out there for anybody that needs it. I'm like super freaky Uber troll, and I'm promoting that I am one of probably 5 people in the United States who is the best at building gravity lenses. Out of silica and bismuth, doing the John Hutchison effect on roids. Doing a massless state introduction and doing the kind of a Fibonacci kind of phi alignment. Being able to do the introduction of bismuth and silica for gravity lenses. So anyone that needs a super freaky person to build something, right here. I have a PayPal address. Super Troll.
I think Tony will be giving you a shout.
We need to touch base, my friend.
I told you.
Me and John Hutchinson are so into talking about the different stuff to build and stuff, and both each other such great ideas. And in fact, one of the things I told him about the gravity lens building was basically doing the massless state introduction of the knife going into the aluminum block. The aluminum oscillated and went into a higher energy state, became a more massless state, goes towards more of the ultraviolet. So the knife just fell into it. And, you can build some pretty frickin' cool gravity generators, being able to get things down to the tolerances of 2 atoms. So, frickin' awesome. I'm awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm promoting myself.
I'll tell you what.
Well, you did say uber freaky troll, so no, it's all good, my friend. It's this is the kind of information that needs to get out, and I don't know about. Well, I know Tony's having a hoot here, and Santo and Jordan, but I'm having a blast how this is interacting. Play some more of the astrotheology physics thing. That was kind of cool how you guys were bouncing it around there.
Well, I've got a question for you. You mentioned in passing that the Earth was hollow. I believe the Earth is hollow also, but not the way the hollow Earth stories have been going around. I think probably the core may be hollow. I'm just very interested in this idea because Jan Lamprecht in his book on the hollow Earth science talked about how he felt that the Earth was hollow at the core, but that the other planets were also hollow at the core. And Jan Lamprecht is a very bright guy that I'm fascinated listening to him on many subjects. But this hollow Earth at the core, what can you tell me about that?
Well, some are, some aren't. For the Earth, basically the Earth has a crystalline iron tuned gravity generator, and it's actually a receiver. The Earth is a gravity generator receiver, and the gravity generator is really the sun, and that basically you say attenuate, but I'm going to say attenuate. It attenuates out to the Earth. And would have to be. I mean, the Earth is hollow, and gravity does go towards the electron shell. You look at the shell, the crust of the Earth as the electron shell, and everything needs to spin. Everything does spin. Our DNA is tuned to a gravity. Our DNA is decoded on the principles of a gravity wave, which is why science can't figure it out, or the mainstream science. NASA. I told NASA for the last 10 years they will never find the bone problem in space because there is no answer. The answer is that you take a gravity generator with you. That's the answer to the bone problem in space. Gravity. We view it as a north and south pole as a magnetic thing. Gravity is a translation or a conversion of. But what people are measuring of the Earth is the top and bottom of a gravity generator. That's why the needle goes nuts at 18 degrees, right?
Yeah.
Why does the compass go nuts at 18 degrees? You want to figure it out? Because it's a gravity generator.
How much of a hollow? How hollow is the Earth? Is it just the core, or what?
800 kilometer sized center receiver, gravity generator in the center, and the crust is about 400 variable. It's varied, about 400 kilometers. You would imagine that gravity is a millimeter wave, so 88 kilometers. Round vehicles are built metrically. 44 millimeter. As to the tuning of building, say the U-Tron, 44 millimeters tuning. Otis T car, brain fart. Is a millimeter wave. So you can imagine it's metric, and it has to be metric. Round vehicles are built, say, 5 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 100 kilometers. They're built metrically. Some of the non-metric variations have been built are usually military craft. Gravity generator, swirling mercury very fast, 160,000 RPM. Doing it, in a form of plasma, toroidal kind of spinning, doing a low hertz kind of jumper, I call it, kind of, for stupid language, but blah, blah, blah. They have chemical thrust. One of the cool things, and that will always translate to be true, is that when wars break out and you see these crafts, they will be gravity generators with chemical thrust, because the gravity generator is kind of predictable and you can home in and hit it with things. A gravity generator or a disk or a platform going through the air with chemical thrust variable math thrown in is very hard to hit. You understand? But I'm
following you.
Yeah. I am sexy when I disclose military stuff, aren't I?
Oh, like off the grid sexy.
Thank you.
You still need to give us a bit more, though. You know.
I know.
More sexy, you know.
I was going to say, Brett, if you're listening closely, you'll hear all the listeners salivating.
I'm a slut.
There you go. Truth for.
Truth for. All right. Anyways, the submarine tunnel system, of course, goes off of Catalina. Ross Curley actually discovered on Google Earth. We found the submarine tunnel system entrance. It goes right off of Catalina, 125 miles off the coast of California. That goes up to Monterey. The submarine tunnel system, which they now teleport submarines, which is why you always get that kind of phrase. Our submarines could be anywhere in the world within an hour. Goes underneath the United States from Monterey and appears out of Martha's Vineyard. And there's a 100-mile wide city underwater, in the ground off of Martha's Vineyard. I discovered that one. That's that. Hold on. I'm going to slut out here. So, scalar devices and Brett's Pro Mode secrets. All right, submarine tunnel system is at 32.6336 minus 121.4102 Google Earth. And the East Coast submarine tunnel system entrance exit, which is facilitated for extremely large vehicles, is on east at 41.100 minus 66.000 degrees. I am a slut.
I was going to say, could you get a little bit more accurate with those?
I got it down to the meter. So
I was going to say, you must have. You went like way, way deep on those.
Yeah, it's the submarine tunnel system on the west coast is you see a big 1 kilometer sized rectangular square. That's where the submarines go in, and they have a kind of a actually pop-up container that actually blocks the entrance back in the day. What they're doing now, I don't know, but you can imagine it's pretty impressive. The World Trade Center scalar device that was used for the extremely long 88 kilometers into the Earth long wave, longitudinal wave. Gravity is a very long wave, unlike what the females say about my penis. The World Trade Center scalar device is at 20.423, no minus sign, latitude and longitude is 136.076. Those are the two separated by 0.8 kilometers. Longitudinal coil devices, wave generators that go down into the Earth. Those were the ones that actually did World Trade Center. It's between Philippines and Guam. So you can look that up on Google Earth, and people will have a field day with that. If you want to see the 3 round vehicles that are 30 kilometers in size, being that the Earth is a gravity generator motor, the 3 round vehicles off the coast of Yemen, that is the Yemen Stargate. That is for facilitating and using as kind of a repeater for vehicles to teleport in and out and do a truly instant teleportation, and is the main defense of the Earth that has been there for 400,000 years. And those are at 8.285187, and the longitude is 53.8101. That is exactly, listen up, that is exactly 12,000 kilometers from Harp in Alaska as in reflection, which is why Harp is where it's at.
There's that 12 again. Could you actually give the physical description of the location? Your mic or your call has a tendency to break up at key points there.
Sorry. For the round vehicles in Stargate?
Yes, please.
The 3 round vehicles, Yemen Stargate, off the coast of Yemen, is latitude is 8.2851, and the longitude is 53.8101 on the whore. I like to promo that I'm a
Bruce Hoare.
Yeah, DOD, Navy, CIA, disclosure, slut. And that is exactly 12,000 kilometers from the HARP in Alaska, which is why HARP was put where it was put. It is in reflection as a 12-phase motor. Yeah. So
the info. I do want to mention that we have another caller in. I've unmuted their mic, and I haven't found out who it is yet. I've just been too enthralled to go screen, so I just want to let the caller from 774 area code know that they are in the call.
Just before we actually leave this HARP subject, I wonder if you could tell me, Brett, all right, let me just throw this out there. Are the oil rig drill bits? Yes, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. So you'll confirm then that the oil rig drilling bits and the railway lines all over the globe, for example, have all been tuned to HARP.
Wow. You
exactly.
suck. All right.
Are we having fun yet? I'm having a blast.
Excellent statement question. I love you and I want to choke you at the same time. This is why there's a universal law and it's illegal to drill anything over 400 kilometers, correct?
Mm-hmm.
As you can understand why. All right. Yes. This is very touchy. God. Oh God. You're gonna kill me, dude. All right. Yes, there's been a little bit of a war going on, and drill bits have kind of turned to powder, and some things have also turned to powder. And the oil spill is actually a conglomeration of different things, where it's to actually kill off the black slime that has been released by reptilians in the South Pole to kill off all vegetation life, so people resort to only being available to eat meat. So reptilians can have an excuse, oh, you eat meat, so we can eat you. And that's no fucking joke. If people want to goof on that, just go back to sleep. That is not a joke. A black sludge, you all remember back in 2008, was on YouTube, and that video had disappeared. It was a black algae that wiped out all, seemed to have the principle of wiping out all life in the ocean and all vegetation. There's also some funguses that attack meat. That is kind of an offshoot of some of the chemtrails heroically, and there are some good department agencies left in the world. And I want people to listen up and hear this, and this has been a message of mine for a very long time, and it has been 5 years plus. The reason why some of the chemtrails are being done, some of that gooey sludge, is also to combat that. Some other chemtrails are not meant to do that and are meant to kill you. There are multiple agency, departments, and countries involved. Understand. There are some good departments left. It is up to people to discern which ones are which. The oil spill was deliberately done to impede that black sludge. It was also financed by people that were hoping to do the oil release to kill off mass amounts of people and to throw in some other things. So once again, multiple things are in place to do multiple different things, multiple reasons from other people's ends, and this is just fact.
Yes, agreed.
Virus is some chemtrails, oscillator, rotor, 2 odd, 1 evened. When we teleport, back in the old days, Andrew Basiago's experimental teleportation, when they're teleporting people 2,000 miles without a receiving teleporter on the end. Experimental teleporting, long distance, very scary, creepy. Why the fuck is not Andrew Basiago compensated for life-threatening experimental shit? Believe me, this shit is scary. People are being scattered all over the field back in the old day, and the teleporters, the person was the rotor in the act of teleporting. The device was doing the oscillator function. Oh God, now, all right.
Hey, Brett, you've already got the big shovel going. Keep digging.
All right, I'm gonna switch again because I'm getting pummeled and killed. So.
Yeah. Well, this information cross-correlates with what I've had from other areas. If anybody wants to check any of that out, for example, they can go to Clifford Carnicom or carnicom.com, and there's information on there on the harmonic tuning of the railway lines, the oil rigs, the power lines, the lot. It all integrates into one massive HARP facility that they're using for mind control and control of the masses on a incredible level.
And that's him disclosing that. Very real, accurate information, but that was not me that talked about that. So, F you.
Oh, you guys rock. I don't know, Santo, Jordan, I'm just sitting back here in awe. And by the way, I did mention we had a caller, and do you have any questions or comments? Area code 774?
Hi, it's Jeremiah. I'm just really enjoying this, and I'm just happy to let him, go with the flow at this point.
There we go. Okay. Well, I'd like to make sure everyone feels welcome when they show up on the board.
Let me just throw one more thing out.
Thank
For
you.
anybody that's interested in the black sludge, they can go to Megawatts 1066 on YouTube, and they can find information about the black sludge. And also, it's an old. If you saw X-Files years ago, you'd see X-Files, which was talking about some black sludge that was being dropped into people's eyes, etc., and this sort of thing. It's
and
along the same lines, but it's definitely not. Just check out the information and see what you think. But it's not fear porn stuff, because there's a lot going on with this stuff.
Yeah, there's a there's a couple of reflection of to things like that, but not. But yeah, exactly. Those the websites I just talked about are very good ones to go to and very highly recommended. People can also go to projectpegasus.net and projectmars.net to learn read up about teleportation and some other things. And it's no wonder why those black sludge videos had disappeared off of YouTube. Can anybody corroborate that?
Well, I actually know somebody who's putting them up. Never mind taking them down. But
that's a big, major concern and a big, major topic to where I don't even really cover that. And I still want to strangle a caller for asking that. It's a love-hate thing, sir. Understand? I want to live. I have comfort levels and stuff, and a lot of the prime mover and the money placed is a lot of that, and a lot of different groups want to kill you off, and believe me, the United States government, the intention really does give government doesn't give a shit about you, but they were the ones who kept the original seeds and stuff, and that's the whole GMO issue. So I mean, the United States and the Republic is beautiful. As we all know, government sucks and sucks ass. It sucked my ass like 3 times over, and they will continually always suck. And government should never be in charge of anybody's welfare or personal life, because they don't know how to take care of themselves, much less other people.
Well, this is what they're there for. They're there to govern your mind or your mentality. Government.
Correct.
The point is we're breaking out. The Vatican's coming down, the system's coming down, and it's all coming out. But it needs to come out. I mean, we had Richard Dolan on, and Richard would only go so far. And again, I'm sorry, but you need to go all the way with this now, because
let me say in his defense, he can't.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we kind of figured that.
Yeah, I understand
nonetheless, I can.
He can't. There's only so many things he can say, and exactly you can, and nothing wrong with me elaborating it or the callers, even the one I want to strangle, and people there, exactly. And keep in mind, people, 111 popes, a square of 6, law. We say square of 6 is cube. We say square of 6, and John Cyril's correct. There's translations to 2 and 3D and 5D, and just figure it out. I mean, the Bible is a discussion. Was originally intended as a physics book. It is a physics book. In the beginning, there was time for all creation to occur, and especially in the Big Bang, a time domain, a fourth dimension must be present for any and all creation to occur. Fifth dimension, people. There are 7 spirit layers around any living planet. Those are developed over time and period. Mars is a fractured planet. It is a broken planet. It is simulated, and we sustain 7 layers, spiritual layers, for harmonious growth. For congenial living. The pyramids are a gravity generator, which is why you would have a water chamber, put water in gravity from hydrogen, from water. But you do the same thing, doing a 3-sided tubular, copper tubular pyramid, doing a 1-2-6 design, having 4 chambers, but 3 balls, 1 and then 1 twice as big and then 6 times as big. Doing a crop circle was done, and it's the Luke Skywalker land speeder. It levitates, and you just get a microwave, a magnetron, 400 watts, and you can stand on the thing.
Yeah, totally.
You just oscillate a gravity from water. Hydrogen does not have an electron. It borrows one from oxygen at 19.5 degrees. Key number there, people. 19.5 degrees. 19. You oscillate it. 19.5, and you oscillate, and you get a gravity. That inherent oscillation will get that gravity to extend past the borrowed electron shell, and that will attune a gravity. Thank you.
Only one thing I want to correct you on. We're not working on 7 dimensions. We're working on 12.
There's actually 13, but we don't use 11 or 13.
Okay.
And spirits only live on the odd ones, 5, 7, Hispanic 9.
And this is where supernature comes from, supernatural.
Correct. I love you, sir.
I'm getting warmed up. This is good stuff. People need to check out Bruce Cathay's harmonic code. And when they've checked out that background information, they'll understand that the world, the matrix that we're in, is actually all waves, as Brett says. And basically, there's lots of implications to that, and it's Bruce Cathay's harmonic code. Okay, and he explains about all the harmonics, how the harmonics work, the numerology, all of this stuff. It just gels perfectly into what's being said here and discussed. This is physics that most people don't know about, and if they do, they can't say anything about it.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna jump in here. We got just over 4 minutes left, so I want to do the big thanks to Critical Mass Radio for allowing myself, Kate, and Tony, and Jordan, and Santo, and Brett, and Jeremiah, and everybody that called in tonight to give us our voice where it is unstoppable, untouchable, and definitely uncensored. Brett, want to hook up with you afterwards, set up a night where we can just go to town on a couple hours. I mean, this show just went like in a blink, crazy fast. So, if you want to, I've got your Skype thing. I'll do a Skype search for you. You might be a little surprised at at the face that doesn't match the voice, but that's okay. You'll get over it. But just be wary of that. So just like I said, we got 3 minutes here. Jordan and Santo, a couple of words from you guys before we close off here.
Well, all I would say is very, very interesting stuff, and from what I've heard so many different pieces of this elsewhere, and it all kind of comes together here tonight. So we need to do this again and get into it even further, because I recognize a lot of the little points and different pieces that I've heard over the years from different scientists and physicists that I know. And it's very interesting, and I do believe, without a doubt, that there is teleportation and teleporting of living people. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Well, I've got an idea. Just before, let me jump in here. Sorry, guys. We do this every Friday with Jordan and Santo, Brett. So if you're interested, maybe why don't we put the same panel together next Friday and just go to town?
12 cups of coffee, and I'm going to spew like no other.
Okay. So does that work? Does that work for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Jordan, Santo, you guys all cool?
Yeah, I suppose so. If we're here.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to be here, so let's, we got some beautiful minds here. I'm just sitting back learning my brains out, so this is awesome. And the listeners are loving it. They're going nuts. So, you guys have changed the world tonight. So, Santo, a couple of final words there. We got 2 minutes.
You caught me. No, I was just very satisfied with listening, actually. So, thanks.
Oh, yeah. Tony, I guess we got a minute and a half here. So, Brett, I can't thank you enough for showing up out of the blue. What are the odds? Synchronicity. But Tony, wrap it up. We got, like I said, a minute and a half left here.
No, it's all good. I'd just like to say thanks for everybody for listening. I'm going to climb off the wall in a moment, and it's been a really flipping excellent show. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Brett. And thank you, everybody who's a beautiful listeners tonight. I'll hand it back to you, Kate, to wrap it up, but it's all good. Thanks, guys.
There are days that I got to pinch myself for the blessings of the minds I get to sit in with, and tonight is one of them. Nights like tonight are so very, very rare, and I know the listeners know this. And I just wanted to convey that this was a very powerful night. I've never heard so many truth nuggets dropped in one show in all my years of radio. So take that for what it's worth. I've got thousands and thousands of hours of radio, and this has probably been two of the most powerful I've ever experienced. So again, Jordan, thank you so much for all the, the torch, man. Just, you're the torch. And Santo, what you guys bring to the table, and Brett, what you've brought, and Tony, I can't say thanks enough, and I know the listeners feel the same way, and it's always just a pleasure to, break bread with you guys. So we'll do this again next Friday, and we have an open night tomorrow night, so anything goes. I'm not sure. Tony will fill me in what we're doing. But again, thanks everyone for listening to Syncretism here on Critical Mass Radio. Thanks again to Paul and Lisa and the crew at Critical Mass for this platform. Much love to all the listeners. You will want to download this one, promise. Thank you, and good night to everybody. Okay, we're in the recording, guys. So, oh my!
Holy cow!
Wow! I would like to say just right away that just for the people out there that listen to the recording, for mainstream science, and they tried to teach you. They tried to say that light was a particle. A 3-year-old would tell you if light was a particle, it would break the glass going through the bulb.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, and what? That takes a master's degree to be wrong?
Hey, Brett.
Brett.
Have you seen Prima Fields?
What is that?
You would love it. You would love it.
Wow.
Prima Fields. It's a great documentary by David Lapointe. Is Jordan still there? Because I want to get Jordan.
Yes, I am.
Please watch it, Jordan. Watch Prima Fields. I pronounce it Prima, but David pronounces it Prima Fields. It explains he has discovered how magnetism works, and he proves it with laboratory tests, guys. He has now shown the magnetic, working, how they work, and how planets are made, and all what all matter. It's just a beautiful documentary. Wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome.
Santos, send me a link.
Yeah, I've got the link, so I'll make sure they go out in an email for you.
Good.
Yeah, so you were talking about the gravity wells earlier, Brett, and what Dave Lapointe does is he illustrates it to such a degree that a second grader would get it. It's astonishing.
Yeah, magnetism is alignment. All magnetism is alignment. and really, I mean, and there's other things that translate in there, but that's one of the key things. I mean, you can make super incredibly magnetic or strong magnets that are paper thin, and it is all alignment.
It is, Brett. Can I add to that? In Primerfield's Part 3, you will find proof to what you just said. Great proof. Because he shows this is why we can only see the rings of Saturn. We can't see Jupiter's rings. We can't see the other planets' rings. Why can we only see Saturn's rings? Because he explains that the rotational axis is perfectly aligned with the magnetic axis. That's why we can see the rings. Yeah, that's it. That's why Saturn has most magnetic energy, and this is why they are harvesting satanic or Saturnian energy, because Saturn is in tune. He is really, really in tune. You can see his rings. That's proof of it.
You're basically seeing the a spiritual layer there translation as well, very much so. And actually, Saturn is actually a solid planet in another dimension. It's a gaseous one in ours, and but dimensionally, it is also a solid planet, as I've been told. This, just to get a little weirded offshoot. Wow, that is too cool. I've had that on my MySpace for 6 years. That magnetism is alignment, and it's, oh good God, I'm gonna totally look into that. I'm just I ran out of coffee and I'm needing a cigarette and I'm being an idiot.
So Brett, what you're seeing when you see Saturn is you're actually looking at where the field. Those rings, they actually go out. That's a big body going out from Saturn. That is a magnetic body we can't see, and the rings are just the part that we can see. Right. But they extend, and they go way, way out, and they form two equal and opposite forces that are like toroidal fields. And he shows those toroidal fields, how they work. And inside the toroidal fields, in the center of them, is the fulcrum. Walter Russell would be just rolling around giggling in his grave at this new documentary, because he'll be saying, that's it, that's what I was trying to say. But you see where the fulcrum is. So Saturn is basically the fulcrum of a big, big, big body, two toroidal bodies. And then they extend out further with other bodies that are attached to them greater and further out in space, and they also extend further out by another toroidal magnetic field even bigger than that, and it compresses and it goes all the way down past the atom, what we call the atom, into basically just little particles. Little particles of energy, and they become photons.
Light. We actually have 4 suns now in our solar system, and this is actually true, and you're exactly right that it's a multiple wave conversion, and just as the 2012 period, as you have the sine wave compression, as I've called it, and then it spreads out, you have like a bunch of hoops intersecting. And that's you're completely exactly right. Saturn is a gravity generator, and is a sun, really, too. But it also is a living, also has life. And how to put words to it or describe it any more than you just did, which you did beautifully, I am too hard pressed to be able to do. But that's exactly what it is. And, it just floors the mind. I've experienced a lot in my life, and just a lot of things I just can't process. In fact, in all honesty, I'm a lot better about it now, but, I knew, of Hollow Earth, and I still couldn't process it, really. I still had a social life, if you know what I mean. And it's difficult for me to process, really. But it's just fact. And there's so much that is just so incredible that, what do you think, light is a wave. Light is all wave. The reason why it has mass is because it's tied to a time domain, an energy to mass event. And, that energy becomes mass, and you have a certain, frequency, gravity is 1 terahertz, and you have the translation of wavelengths and frequencies and stuff. But primarily the reason, is an interaction, but the reason why light has mass is because it's tied to a time domain, an energy to mass event. And that, light is dictated based on its frequency or rate as to why it is limited, to its, as terms, speed of light.
Yeah, that's why it's got an electromagnetic field attached to it.
Oh, yeah. Brad,
yes.
this is Kate. I just sent you I'm hoping it's you. I just sent you a Skype request, if you can check to me. Me.
Cygnus.
Yes, that's me. Surprise.
Oh, awesome. Whoa. Well,
yeah.
All right.
I get a lot.
We are on air. Oh, we're not on air as in live.
But no, we're on the recording. So okay.
Archives. All right.
I'll pass that over to Santo and Tony, because I know Tony's chomping at the bit. He'll want to he'll not just want to talk to you. He'll want to sleep with you. Santo will definitely want to interview on American freedom. So anyway, I'll pass those along. Carry on, guys. We'll go as long as the recording will let us. Okay.
You want to hear something funny?
What?
Carrie Cassidy just came online. Her Skype message popped up. Says, "Yes, you're a troll. Here's your hug."
Now we're getting closer to it.
Yeah. So Carrie's been tuning in then.
Yeah.
What did I tell you, Kate?
Oh, I know. Don't worry. I'm a Gemini. I know these things.
Well, you want to hear something funny about me? Being that I'm sort of different. I was born December 22nd, 1966, at 1:16 a.m. So on the East Coast. So translation. The way I learned 12-phase motor growing up was from my father, a Lockheed Skunk Works engineer, alcoholic, just as I am, 8 years sober. I'm the only one in the family that runs naked through federal buildings and doesn't get tased. I'm pretty good. The way I learned about 12-phase motors was 12, 22, 32, as we discussed before, equals 66. Just as in proton position energy level reflection of physics, so geometrically stable elements, like bismuth, element 83, we said before, 2, 6, 12, 8, 22, 32, 1. You have that number 1 in the next level up. 12-phase motors go to the tune of, say, the John Searle SEG 12, 22, 32, which totals 66, where you have 2112, Cygnus X1, 2,112 parts. It's actually 2,012, but but you add the concentric rings of 4, 3 times 4. Let's say 2112, 2,112 parts. Are you following this?
Oh yeah. No, carry on.
This is how I learned the auto-step transformer gravity generator in a wave 12-phase motor. John Searle fucking we're in archives fucking rules. It is fucking best the 12-phase motor design, and has been doing so for over 50 years, and is now just being given recognition because other people suck in the world and didn't recognize a total awesome genius like John Searle. I'm ranting and I'm angry, and that makes me angry that people that didn't recognize John Searle as being completely for real and completely honest and completely 100% truthful and right in everything that he's presented.
I used him as the very first example in the book, Jonathan Searle, and he spent 30 years in prison plus for his work.
Wow.
Totally.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, he's. They bought up his books, and you can't even find it. You go to Barnes and Nobles. He's written multiple books. The Law of the Squares by John Searle. You go to Barnes and Nobles. Half-hour discussion with Barnes and Nobles. Can you find the book? No, we can't. And a half hour later, yes, we verified now that the book exists, but we can't get it. Why can't you get it? It's a book. We just can't get it. Really? Why is that? I have a copy of his book that people say that he didn't write, that he wrote. My father showed me that book. I, being the typical 12-year-old, completely fascinated, ADHD, I read 3 pages. It was a little too difficult at the time, and I was overwhelmed. Later on, I have slept with that book. All right. I can get off the sex humor.
No, it's okay. If you haven't listened to our shows in the past, you're pretty tame compared to what we've got into, so it's all good. No, everything goes here, so don't worry about it, my friend. We speak freely on these shows, and you do what you need to do, and you say what you need to say, and this is one of the last bastions that we have of absolute truth, and we will not yield it. So don't ever worry about a thing ever. No holds barred radio.
Thanks. I've been naked with one too many congressmen presentations in my life, so it kind of goes in my humor that because I never did any of that, but you always had one or two like people like that, or 3 from Elton John.
Oh.
I was a blonde kid growing up. Oh.
Yeah, me too.
I just received a 2.2 megabyte PDF file, which I think looks absolutely phenomenal.
That's Tony's book, yeah. He asked me to pass it over to you. So I've given Tony and Santo your Skype contact, and as soon as we can get Jordan on Skype, we can have a little fun that way too. So how have you guys enjoyed the show tonight? I'm absolutely beside myself here.
Yeah, totally. I just can't wait to get to some real science and some physics and stuff behind all of this, because it's just going to, in a bit like the way where I managed to mention something earlier on about the railway lines and the oil rigs. I've got a lot more where that's come from, and I can't wait to have a chat.
Wow, yeah, this is real. I like this Chester woman. Interesting.
Yeah, just a quick skip through that. You'll find Jonathan Searle's the very first person I mentioned in the book, but that's just where it begins. There's a lot more that comes through out of that book.
I love you. This people got to get this book, seriously.
I did try telling them.
I'm looking right at it. I mean, have you sold a lot?
I didn't sell them. I gave them away free. It's a gift to humanity.
Well,
it's like, hey guys, you need to know this shit.
Yeah, if people don't have this on their hard drive, then there's a lot dumber people out there in the world than I thought. This is really good. I like this. This is really, really good. And I'm just skimming through it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I went into all of these things and put them together in a way that's in simple English, where people can really get a grip on the truth of what's been hidden, why it's been hidden. Fucking the implications of what it means is huge, and it covers all of those topics we were talking about: numerology, Well, it doesn't cover the astrotheology. That's why Santos, Kate, and I make such a team, because with all of these different areas, it's like, holy shit. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm half retarded right now, and I'm just skimming. And when it comes to reading and stuff, I don't do very good at all. But it's really impressive. I mean, I like it. I very much like it. I'm gonna, as soon as I get off the air, I'm gonna be reading it. There, one of the things that, you know, and the suggestions and stuff growing up was that, you know, you could teleport a wave within a wave, and that was one of the suggestions back in the early '80s. I was like, well, you can teleport. You know, you could teleport a signal through it. You know, you could teleport it, a wave through a wave, and you know. So we got into topics of teleporting neutrons for like regulating like reactors or self-regulating to all sorts of, you know, of course, communications. That was my father's end, but I was getting into all sorts of things, and my father had me stop talking about it because the people that were, you know, that were showing up in the group weren't so savory and were a little bit more warmongerish, if you know what I mean. And I really do. I've had affirmations from a lot of people that the teleporting the negative crossover section on you know on the scalar device, the time attached electromagnetic wave was really amplified based on my suggestion back in the 80s. If you believe that one. And it really was, actually. I remember in the garage that my dad had me go very quiet and leave the room.
Yeah. I know where you're coming from on that one, Brett.
Yeah.
Not just, I mean, that's one analogy, but there was a couple of others I want to throw you away as well. There's things in this world now that have been used that I came up with a long time ago, and that have been stolen, and I've ended up absolutely penniless and on my arse.
Yeah.
A bit like Elliot Bernstein. You know, again, it is what it is. You just get over it. But anyway, another story.
Yeah, it's not so much that. It's that my dad couldn't quell down the people of having like kind of which turned out to be really bad things and bad ideas. So I mean, it was people already knew that an event was going to come forward later, and it was right around, you know, the early mid '80s is where where I didn't really get the train moving, but quieted down very early. And you know, these are things that I really held in for a long time, and you know, there's just a lot of you know, how do 4 reactors blow up, especially when 2 of them are offline and don't have a quarter of amount of material in it to even be a reactor?
Well, number 1 was Stuxnet. Number 2 was the underground nuclear explosions. Number 3 was HAARP, and number 4 was basically Mossad.
Yeah, well,
not to mention that they built it on a fault line, and they actually built it with a fuel on top, which was also MOX fuel, which is the most deadly in the planet. In other words, it was done deliberately.
It was nasty. Yeah, but actually only one nuclear type yield device was actually used, and that was on the first reactor.
But it wasn't just one device, it was a culmination of many different things.
Oh yeah, I understand that. One of them, one of the aspects was to breach and open up the other reactor, which only had storage and only about a quarter to maybe half of the rods, and that was there for storage for later on reactors that weren't even online, and they started going off because, you know, one of the things was because neutrons were being teleported in or pumped in, and you know, initially, and that's what popped it open. And then they could go to another effect of just putting neutrons in and getting it to, you know, to aerosol and, you know, into the atmosphere. And this was really done so that round vehicles wouldn't try to heal the planet and clean things up. In the first place, they wanted to keep the oil spill, and the radiation actually betrays a lot of round vehicle technology and the effect to where round vehicles become visible. Some unifications might happen where round vehicles might drop out of the sky, and that's why round vehicles don't get close to Earth. And that was one of the prime movers and reasons why they did it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of them. I mean, besides killing off the planet, killing people, and multitude of other things got sold to other places for other reasons. Ugh, God.
Yeah, I'd like to carry on with this conversation off air, but there's a lot more to this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you know better than I do, but from one of the aspects that translated in my life was actually what I've said. But you're very much right too, and I know where you're going with that, and that's very that's just really hard to look at,
Well, I mean, like I say, there's a lot more to it. A lot of it will be explained in the book, but you're not going to have time to read that all in 5 minutes. The point is, there's a whole program, and it includes everything from, it's just everything. All of the structures, all of the systems, everything. It's complete control of the human race is what they're after. And it's a bit tough shit they're having because it's not working. But we'll go into this in more detail.
Yeah, it's also for developmental purposes too.
Yes.
I mean, you have a lot of good groups that that Earth is a nice thing, and to have a good congenial development, and then you have Fukushima and Chernobyl.
Well,
and GMO.
I mean, there's a lot more of these nuclear power plants, mate. There's over 700 on the planet, but I'd rather go into it off air.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
And speaking of which, we should probably call this one anyway, just because I know there's going to be a lot of people chomping at the bit for this show right now, and we're already 23 minutes past the hour. So, but again, I want to say thank you, Brett, for calling in, and Jordan, Santo, always an absolute pleasure doing these Friday night roundtables, and tonight was a bit of a surprise, so what a pleasant one. And Tony, thank you so much. So I will sign us off. And Jeremiah, I know you're still sitting in, my friend, so I'm going to sign off here on Syncretism for Critical Mass Radio. And you guys are all connected now, so job is done. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow night here on Critical Mass Radio. It's going to be an open sort of thing tomorrow night. I guess it'll be a hodgepodge bit of fun, so who knows? Maybe Brett and who else might show up. So much love to everyone, and thanks to everyone that actually downloaded it. And well, if you didn't hear this part of the show. Much love to all. Thanks again, and have a great night.